I've got 6 o'clock, and I want to call this meeting to order. If you would please stand with me, and we'll begin our meeting with a prayer and with a flag salute. Let's go to the Lord in prayer at this time. God, our Father in heaven, we're so thankful, Lord, that you love us. We're so thankful for your grace and for your mercy. Lord, we're thankful for the blessings on this community. We're thankful for the blessings on the staff of this city that work hard to make the standard of living and the community better every day. Lord, we pray that you would be with us in this meeting, guide us and direct us, the decisions that this council makes, the work that all the other committees do to make this happen. Lord, we're so thankful for that and pray that we would do good work to continue to develop and grow and make Durant a better place to live and to do business and to raise a family. Lord, thank you so much for Jesus, who's our Savior. All these things we pray in Jesus' name. Amen. If you would, please render a hand salute and join me in the salute to our flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Would everyone except for the council now take a seat, please? And would the council join me down front? We're going to present some service awards to some very deserving individuals. Say again? Roll call. You can do the roll call.
Councilmember Miller.
Here.
Councilmember Shear.
Here.
Councilmember Fuller.
Here.
Vice Mayor Simulescu.
Here.
Mayor Tucker.
Here. Officially here. I'm going to stand right on this cord to keep someone else from tripping on it, okay? So I'm not trying to get in your way. I'm trying to help you out. Our first person we want to ask to come down and be recognized for 5 years of service to the city of Durant is Jeremy Overton, who works in our landfill operation. Jeremy, come on down. And we would love to have you in a moment, have your family come if you have any here, to have a picture made as well. So Jeremy will receive a wonderful... Jeremy receives a certificate and a pen and a check for $50. Jeremy, thank you so much. Thank you very much. Excellent. Next, we have Creston Brown, who works in our library operation. Creston will also receive a certificate, a pen, and a check for $50. Creston, thank you very much. Preston, thank you. Thank you. Don't wander off. Yeah. What's up for? Great. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Babies always make the pictures better. Last but not least tonight is, for 25 years of loyal service to the city of Durant, is Philip Hightower of our Public Works Division. Philip. So Philip gets a plaque and a certificate and a pen and a check for $250. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you to all of you. Appreciate it very much. Now we're going to need that podium. Thank you, Philip. At this time, we're going to jump into the separate authorities that we need to have business meetings for tonight. So at this time, I want to call to order a meeting of the Durant City Utilities Authority. Would the clerk please call the roll?
I'm sorry. Okay. Trustee Miller.
Here.
Trustee Shear.
Here.
Trustee Fuller.
Here.
Vice Chairman Simulescu.
Here.
Chairman Tucker.
Here. We have a quorum under consent items. In the order of business, there is 2 items to approve consider approval of minutes from the June 11th regular meeting, and also to consider approval of an aluminum sulfate contract. Do I hear action or comments from the council at this time? No requests or comments. We have a motion for the consent items.
I make a motion to approve consent items.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the consent items. And now we're going to attempt to vote on this with our computer.
Well, Mayor,
Yes, ma'am.
mine, I have the IT person here. Mine is spinning right now, so just in an effort to continue moving forward here, I'm going to call the roll.
Let's do a voice vote then. Thank you very much. If the clerk would
Okay.
please call the roll.
Trustee Miller,
Yes.
Trustee Shear,
Yes.
Trustee Fuller,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Simulescu,
Yes.
Chairman Tucker.
Yes. No items were removed from consent. Next, there are no information items. Finally, item 4, administration. We have consider approval of an independent contractor agreement between the Durant City Utilities Authority and Hoffman Sanitation Services, LLC, for exclusive recycling service for the city of Durant. And this is contract 2024-29. Mr. Hoffman.
How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you, sir?
I'm here to answer questions if there are any. It's a long way to get here.
The contract and the agreement was in the packet, and I appreciate Mr. Markham and City Manager and Mr. Huffman as well working together to negotiate that. Any comments, questions for Mr. Hoffman or city staff?
No.
Pretty straightforward.
When is this going to start?
Approved tonight, I'd say August 1st would be a good start date. It might get scans out before that, but we're going to start rolling.
We should ask you some questions since you made the effort to show up here tonight. Thank you for that. Yeah, surely we have something else we can ask him.
I can tell you that you guys, Culver, Calera, and Caddo are all on the list as cities and towns that are partaking.
Is this going to be sort of in phases, or do you anticipate citywide? How
It's
do you-
citywide. I mean, as little participation as there's going to be, and a little means a lot. I mean, in the recycling world, if you get 20%, you're really hitting a home run. So with as little as it's going to be citywide, just inside city limits and inside town limits of those other towns we
Do
talked
you
about.
have trucks that can handle my spouse's Amazon boxes?
Oh, that's
Yeah, we're gonna send a special truck for Amazon boxes.
And just so everyone knows, right now, it is a short-term pilot
right.
project to see how well it does work. So right now, it's a short-term.
Yeah, and once we have a number of pickups, then we'll kind of determine a day that will be the same day every week. Now it'll be just, Wednesday, Friday, whatever. If there's 5 people, we can go pick up 5 people pretty quickly. But it is cost to the citizen, not to the city. So if you're a citizen, it'll be $20 for 1 can. It's weekly pickup. That's in addition to what you pay on your city bill, and you won't pay it to the city, you pay it to me. And then as the number grows, say we get 500 customers, that number could actually come down for the monthly service. And it's a truck, much like any other trash truck. I mean, it won't compact. It'll just pick up the stuff and not compact it.
How do we sign up for advertising for this?
It's a great question. So in conjunction with the nation's recycling program, they'll be putting out some information as advertising and marketing, and you'll actually call our office to sign up. But all that will come out, Facebook, mail, all that kind of stuff.
The Choctaw Nation, in case you're not a local, when we say the nation, that's what we're referring to, right?
Yeah, that's correct.
Those of us that live here understand, but maybe
Yeah.
not everyone does.
Yeah, so we're partnering with the Choctaw Nation and using their recycling center to transfer it.
Feel like he's been adequately questioned now to.
That's fine, I guess.
Justify the trip.
I figured, like you said, we had some questions, maybe some of the folks here in the audience wanted to know a little bit more, but that pretty much answers all of them, I think.
I appreciate the city manager bringing up the fact that it is a pilot, it is short-term. This is we're not trying to lock anybody down, and initially this isn't a revenue generator for us, and hopefully it will be in the future, but this is where we begin.
Right.
No other comments or questions? Do I hear a motion?
Motion to approve 4A.
Second.
We have a motion and a second.
Okay,
Is it
so
working?
you should get the block on your computer.
Where is it at?
So do I just raise my hand if I don't?
No, it didn't show up?
Nope.
Not sure where. Supposed to be.
Okay. Trustee Miller,
Yes.
Trustee Shear,
Yes.
Trustee Fuller,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Simulescu,
Yes.
Chairman Tucker.
Yes, that passes as well. Finally, on the Utilities Authority is item 5, new business. And is there any new business to come before the Utilities Authority tonight? Hearing none, I'll move for adjournment of the City Utilities Authority meeting tonight.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adjourn.
Trustee Miller,
We'll vote.
Yes.
Trustee Shear,
Yes.
Trustee Fuller,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Simulescu.
Yes.
Chairman Tucker.
Yes, we stand adjourned. At this time, I will call to order a meeting of the Durant Airport Authority.
Trustee Miller,
Here.
Trustee Shear,
Here.
Trustee Fuller,
Here.
Vice Chairman Simulescu,
Here.
Chairman Tucker.
Here, there's only one item on the agenda tonight under the orders of business, and it happens to be in the consent items, and it is approval of the minutes of the last regular meeting we held in June, which was when we approved, I think, the minutes of the meeting that we had before. So, any comments or questions on the one item on the consent agenda? I move for approval of the consent agenda items.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. We'll vote.
Trustee Miller,
Yes.
Trustee Shear,
Yes.
Trustee Fuller,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Simulescu,
Yes.
Chairman Tucker.
Yes, there are no other items listed on the agenda. Under item 5, new business, and is there any new business to come before the Airport Authority tonight? Hearing none, I'll move for adjournment.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adjourn the Airport Authority meeting. We'll vote.
Trustee Miller,
Yes.
Trustee Shear,
Yes.
Trustee Fuller,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Simulescu,
Yes.
Chairman Tucker.
Yes, we stand adjourned. At this time, I'd like to call to order a meeting of the Durant Development Authority. We'll start with a roll call.
Trustee Miller,
Here.
Trustee Shear,
Here.
Trustee Fuller,
Here.
Vice Chairman Simulescu,
Here.
Chairman Tucker.
Here, under first item in the order of business is the consent items. There are 3. Consider approval of regular meeting minutes from April 9th of this year. Consider approval of special meeting minutes of May 13th of this year. And consider approval of special called meeting minutes of June 11th of this year. Do I have any comments or questions on those meeting minutes? Those are all that are under the consent item. Do any of those need to be removed from the consent agenda? Hearing none, do I hear a motion?
Motion to approve all consent items.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to consent all of the consent items under item 1. We'll vote.
Trustee Miller,
Yes.
Trustee Shear,
Yes.
Trustee Fuller,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Simulescu,
Yes.
Chairman Tucker.
Yes. Finally, there are no other items on the Development Authority agenda. Under item 5, new business, is there any new business to come before the Development Authority tonight? Hearing none, I'll move for adjournment of the Durant Development Authority.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adjourn. The clerk will call the roll.
Trustee Miller,
Yes.
Trustee Shear,
Yes.
Trustee Fuller,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Simulescu,
Yes.
Chairman Tucker.
Yes, we stand adjourned. Now back to the Durant City Council. And again, the first, under order of business, the consent items. There are 2 under item 1 consent items. A, which is consider approval of regular meeting minutes of June 11th of this year. And B, to consider approval of budget supplementals BA 24-13. Any questions, comments? Either one of those items need to be removed for further consideration from the consent agenda. Do I hear a motion then?
Motion to approve all consent items.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the consent items that we'll vote.
Councilmember Miller,
Yes.
Councilmember Shear,
Yes.
Councilmember Fuller,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Simulescu.
Yes.
Mayor Tucker.
Yes, there were no items removed, which is number 2. So we're down to item number 3, the information items. Item A is the May 2024 financial reports and the June sales tax report. And Ms. Ann Chin will present that for us tonight.
Good evening.
Thank you, ma'am. Good evening.
Okay, on your sheet, the first one is our general fund. This is for the,
And speaking to the microphone, please. There you go.
okay. Is that all better?
Not really.
Okay, the first page is a general fund. This is for the May 2024. So year to date is supposed to be 91.67. And one thing I want to point out is that, did you see the sales tax revenue? This is the May, but we already reached our budget. So it's pretty good. And the use tax, this few months is really, the revenue is really good. So it's also reached our budget, and it's 135%. So it's not bad. And for the general fund, the total revenue that is over budget about 6.5%. That's not including the fund reserve. If it's including the fund reserve, it's a little bit lower than 8%. And for the expenditure, I only put it on the department expense, and it's under 11%. So we control our expenses pretty well, I think. And because the transfer that we're still doing it, so I'm not going to put it in our total expense. And the next page is the capital improvement fund. This fund is just for your information. This is show the current project, the progress, and then our revenue part. So this is just for the information. And the third one is DCUA, Utility Authority Fund. This month, well, year to date, the DCUA revenue is a little bit lower, about 0.9% than our, how to say that, year to date, supposed to be 91.67, but we only got about 90%, 76. So, and then our expense, our department expense is about 69.2%. So it's under about 20%. So we manage pretty well. And now is sales tax. Our June sales tax, you can tell that it's 1.7 million. And compared to the prior year, you can see that the 10 years average compared to the prior years is down to 3.3%. But I think that is kind of like back to normal, because the past few years, I think because of the inflation and all those money that flow in, so people can spend more. And now it's a little bit slowed down now. And over the year, this is the whole year. Over the year, the whole year is, compared to the prior year, it's about 6,000 less. But you have to remember, we have almost $10 million, so 6,000 is not that bad. But I will keep close, monitor it. Yeah. Any question?
Any questions on the financials from Ann? Okay. Thank you very much. Next is the quarterly reports, which have been submitted to. They're ready to in any order, or are we going to have a contest? Oh, here we go. From the fire department, we will hear first from Chief Jeff Langford.
Mayor Tucker, Council, how are y'all this evening?
Well,
Raise that up a little higher. So for the second quarter report for the fire department, to start off our run call volume, calls for service. We had 637 during that quarter. About 72% of them were EMS or MVCs, vehicle accidents. Personnel and staffing, currently operationally, we're fully staffed. We had one guy retire and then had one leave to go to Denison Fire Department, but we have since replaced those two individuals. We currently do have a open fire marshal position. Our current fire marshal did resign effective the end of May. We've started taking applications and we'll be doing interviews in the next week, or this week and next week. So we're taking steps to get that position filled. So activities for us over the last 3 months, we've had our annual SCBA service testing done for all of our air packs. We have our annual fit testing for the masks that we wear during those. We've also done fit testing and pack testing for the water treatment facility. Excuse me, not wastewater, but the water treatment. We started our annual hydrant flow and inspection. Started in June. You probably noticed a lot of cloudy water around town. That's probably our fault, but we're required to flow and inspect those hydrants each year. We also completed our annual fire hose service inspection and testing. So been fairly busy over the quarter. Also for training for the last 3 months, we've had several in-house OSU fire service training courses. We've had a driver operator course for some of our new personnel to go through the driver operator. We've had a rope rescue course for the guys to learn the ropes and rescue techniques, and we've also had confined space, all in-house here in Durant. So we did send 4 personnel to Swiftwater Rescue and Broken Bow, some of the younger guys that have not received any of that training yet. Apparatus and vehicle-wise, other than Engine 1 and Engine 101, everything is in service. Currently, Engine 101, which is our reserve pumper, is out of service due to the pump engagement issue. We've been in contact with Conrad Fire of Oklahoma City, and they're supposed to come down and repair that. They were actually down today doing some of our pump testing. So, Engine 1 had to go get some front end work done, tires replaced, and the front end realigned, but it's back in service. We did also have our biannual service oil changes on all of our apparatus during the month of June. So, other notable events, I don't know if anybody noticed, but summer school is in session, and we've had multiple school visits with the kids. They get to come to the fire station, learn about fire safety, and just let the guys interact with them. So we've had 3 different schools, totaling 216 kids over the last couple months. So that's kind of a different deal for us. Normally, fire prevention is in October, but for some reason, for summer schools, wanted to come visit this summer. So other than that, everything's in normal operation and no issues at the fire department.
It's good to report. Any questions or comments from the chief?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir. Next, from our Economic Development Department, we'll have Kathy Moore.
Mayor, Council, I have to be a little bit creative tonight on how I give you a quarterly update, but I am going to start by telling you I think it's a good day to be in Durant. I've got 4 areas I'd like to share with you. The first one, specifically retail and West Side Business District. A data point that I'd like for you to note is that I have learned in the past quarter that from 2018 to 2023, Bryan County alone had an increase in $20 million in all retail sales, and that's all NAICS codes combined. So that's a snapshot of the county. And in my area, I have a priority and an emphasis on strategic planning and consensus building for future retail growth. Number 2, downtown and Main Street Business District. A data point for you to hold on to tonight is that small business generates 44% of all U.S. economic activity. So the effort of our small businesses in Durant are significant. And in my area, I have a priority for a commitment to revitalization of our downtown business district and collaborative efforts for strengthening the district. But I will say, with that data point that I just shared, it's not just my office that accomplishes that. There are hundreds in Durant that invest in small business and in our community. And specifically downtown, I'd like to put some first names out there, and I'd like to say thank you to our investors that have made a commitment beyond what some of us could ever imagine. Thank you to Teddy, thank you to Mauricio, Tony, Kurt and Trish, the Duttons, Kendra and what she's done at Integration Station, Blake, Scott, Shane, Andy, Sean and Amy, and there are countless others. Specifically tonight though, I'd like to talk about Price's Printing and their investment into small business in the city of Durant. I've learned that the Allens are the third owners of this business, and they've been here since 1957. But even more remarkable than the Allens and the other owners who have invested over time, I'd like to introduce you to somebody that you might not ever have known, but I promise you she's made a difference. Her name is Luana Coxey, and she has served faithfully at Price's Printing for 38 years. And so our community not only depends on the small businesses and the families that invest in our community, but it's people like Luana that show up and believe in Durant and are faithful. And so we are grateful because these are the people that build our community, and this is the fabric of Durant. In addition, I'd like to point out that at the Chamber banquet this past spring, there was the launch of the Plaza project, and on the stage in the announcement of that project and the revitalization of our theater for our downtown business district, you had Imagine Durant, the Boys and Girls Club, Choctaw Nation, Bryan County, Southeastern, the Chamber, and the City of Durant, all supporting the revitalization of our downtown through that project. And I would just like to say that that's so remarkable, and I'm really proud to be part of this community. Our third area I'd like to speak about is our Durant Industrial Authority. A data point for you is that when you look at 2010 to 2020, and you look south of the border, the rapid growth in Collin County and in Grayson County, those counties grew at an 18% rate over those 10 years, but Bryan County was at a 16% rate. And oftentimes we look around and it doesn't feel like growth is happening here, but I want to encourage you, that's only because we are still rural. And a 2% difference over 10 years is not that different. Specifically now, we can look at 2024, and in the first half of 2024, quarter two end, Collin County grew at a 3% rate, and Bryan County is almost at a 2% rate. So even still, we're very close to what's happening and the growth that's coming this direction. The Oklahoma Department of Commerce determined that there's a net positive benefit associated with the Allied Stone expansion, and for that reason, Allied Stone here in Durant was awarded an incentive grant through the Oklahoma Business Expansion Incentive Program, and that's to be commended. Second thing I would like to point out on behalf of the Durant Industrial Authority is that Bruce Pack was recognized by the Department of Commerce for 75 years in Durant. And they have completed their expansion project, and if you've not walked through that facility, please do. I can help you do that, and it's pretty amazing. I'm very proud to be a part of Durant. Community at large, this is my fourth point. I would say that my priority is to advocate for infrastructure support through networking and telling Durant's story. And there's lots of ways that we tell Durant's story, but one way tonight that I'd like to share with you is the public art in our community tells a very proud story of Durant. Specifically for Janie Simple Umstead, economic development through the city of Durant has supported other community efforts, and we're working on a landscape plan to finish her sculpture that's up at Carl Albert Drive up north of town. And the reason that this is really important for the future of Durant is because that's our entranceway, right? If you're coming in from the north, what do you see? It's that sculpture, and the story that tells about Durant makes a difference, and we should all be very proud about that. Specifically, I would like to comment on Janie and how she has shown up for the city of Durant over the past decades. I believe that Janie is a hometown hero, and what I would like for you to know and the community to know is that most recently, she was appointed by President Biden to the Board of Trustees for the Institute of American Indian Arts. and this is in Santa Fe, New Mexico. I'm so proud to be a part of Durant. And how we tell our stories make a difference for those of us here now and for those of us who will be here in the future. It matters. So for Janie, I would like to publicly say thank you so much for how you tell our story. But to the council, thank you for showing up, for volunteering, for being here. For those of us on our boards and our commissions and the hundreds others across our community, how you volunteer and where you volunteer makes a difference, and you make us proud. Even if you open the door for somebody else, you pause at a stop sign and let somebody else go ahead of you. You're in the grocery store and you notice somebody that maybe really needed to be seen that day, and you say, hello, how are you? And you listen. That's part of telling the story of who we are in Durant, because that's part of our community, and we're community strong. I'm very proud to be a part of Durant. And finally, it's a great day to be in Durant.
Thank you, Kathy. It's a good report. Next, we want to hear from the airport and Josh Makovic, and I probably mispronounced your last name.
Not a problem. Evening, Mayor, Council, thank you very much. I'd like to start off with a report on the repairs and projects that are currently in progress at the Durant Airport. Right now, we are currently working on upgrading and replacing our AWOS system at the airport. This AWOS, or Automated Weather Observation Station, delivers vital information to all pilots that fly into our airport. Our current system that is being replaced is approximately 22 years old. Typically, these systems have an average lifespan of about 20 years. One of the biggest reasons for the relocation of this of the current placement is because our terminal is currently in the critical zone of the AWOS system. Now, the new location solves for this issue as well as for safety and any future expansion of the airport. Next is going to be the runway and taxiway marking project. The airport is currently awaiting on funding issuance from the FAA on our grant of $217,225 to remark the runway and taxiway. Originally, we had planned to start this project about midsummer of this year. However, due to the FAA delay in issuing our notice of funding, we are currently waiting for those funds right now. The FAA has not issued any AIP funds to any airport in the nation right now, so it's not just our airport that's being held up. The reason for this is because the current markings at the airport are fading, chipping, or offer no reflectivity for night operations. This can cause issues as pilots can lose visibility of these markings. This project will also allow for standardizing the markings and add reflectivity for night operations. Then we have the Alpha 1 taxiway stub repair. So in September of 2023, the airport had an aircraft that conducted an emergency landing due to an engine on fire. The aircraft was destroyed due to this fire, and there was significant damage to the asphalt and concrete from the fuel and the fire. We are currently in design phase for the project to conduct a full depth repair of that area. The airport is also currently working on a possible grant application for drainage survey of the airport. We have discovered a few spots on the property where the drainage pipes are either broken or separated. This can lead to washout issues that could eventually cause pavement failures on our ramp, our taxiways, or even our runways. That's it for the repair and current projects in progress. And then as far as operations at the airport, the airport has seen a significant uptick in traffic over the last couple years. This trend is showing a continuation this year as well. The past 6 months of operations at the airport have equated out to 27,937 operations during in 24. During 2023, the airport ended the year with 51,712 operations. Also, I'd like to note that during 2023, the airport moved over approximately 281,000 gallons of fuel. That was a huge amount for the airport at that time. We are actually currently sitting at, right now, we are currently sitting at 151,782 gallons of fuel float at the airport thus far this year. The Oklahoma Army National Guard Air Traffic Control Tower project that we've been working with at the airport, during the month of June 2024, the airport hosted the Oklahoma Army National Guard Air Traffic Controller Training. This activity was originally scheduled to last a total of 2 weeks. Unfortunately, 4 days into the operations, they were forced to cease due to certification issues between the FAA and the Army. During the 4 days of operations, they saw a total of 518 operations. It was actually a huge turnout for that for the Army National Guard. They got a lot of good training in just those 4 days, and they definitely want to come back. So with that, I'll stand for any questions.
Thank you, Josh. Any questions on the airport? Appreciate that. Next, we'll have from Public Works. He's already been introduced. I'll introduce him again, Mr. Philip Hightower.
I'll try to keep this under 7 minutes. I'll start off with the water treatment plant. I'll just hit the highlights of what's been going on in each department. The water treatment plant doing their normal samples and daily labs. They did install some actuators on some filters, had some check valves up at the high service replaced. There's now a fence around airport tower, water tower, a fence around Cardinal Glass water tower. We had some motor issues at high service that has been rebuilt and installed. We did have a filter under drain that is under warranty that came apart, and they're back fixing that right now, which we won't have to pay for. They've started a flushing program where they're flushing throughout the city to help keep the water clearer. They are fully staffed at the water plant, and this last quarter we produced 436,079,000 gallons of drinking water. Okay, that pretty sums up for the water plant. And the streets, they fixed around 2,000 potholes in the last quarter, 150 street cuts. They've been trimming trees throughout the city for trash trucks, fire trucks to be able to get under. Whenever we have storms, they're out cleaning the limbs and the trees off the streets for us. Street lights go out. They've been putting out four-way stops. They repaired a 5-foot drain line that goes under Silverado. Had a drain installed out on University, drain and drainage box. And they did 400 feet of curbing out on Pecan Street. They are fully staffed. Water and line maintenance. They repaired over 124 water leaks in the last quarter, did 16 taps, 13 sewer taps, and worked over 1,375 work orders. Then replaced some pumps at Country Estates Lift Station number 2. We installed a 400 foot of 2-inch water line. Duke's root control was here and did over 8,000 feet of root control on some sewer line. They still like 1,500 feet to complete what we are paying for. They'll be back this week to do that. And we have had an issue with water pressure out east of town on Mason, no water at times. We've been working very hard to that. We think we have found the solution to help that out. We're going to install another 6-inch water line coming off a 10-inch, so hopefully that will help with that water pressure. And I also do have a quote for a booster pump to put on the 6-inch to help the booster pumps. So hopefully in the next couple of weeks we'll be started on that project of installing that water line. I'm waiting on the quote from the contractor to do the boring for that water line. Solid waste collection. Our over the extra haul last quarter, we picked up 171.15 tons of tree limbs and stuff that people put beside their out for free hauling. Our charged hauling, we picked up 106 tons of refuge. 13, we received and put out 13 Sharps containers. We've replaced 22 dumpsters with new dumpsters. Worked on our trash trucks, did maintenance on our trash trucks, and that department is down 2 employees at this time. We have a pickup tomorrow, and we'll have over 380 on that list to do. Parks and Recreation. They've been mowing. They've been mowing, and they've been mowing some more. Of course, the swimming pool open, splash pads going. They replaced the lights at the Unity Monument. Y'all can see that a lot better now.
We don't have Christmas lights anymore.
No.
Green and red.
No, that's gone. All we have is 350 watt lights, and it looks good at night. Recreation leagues has started. We had a Special Olympics in April. Juvenile Diabetes Research Foundation had a community walk in April. New playground has been started being installed in Dixon Durant due to the rain, because we've hauled in 675 tons of dirt to level it up. Due to the rain, they haven't completed it yet, but it is on progress to finish. The track out at the complex is finished being overlaid, resurfaced, I should say. And Durant did something in June that we had what we called our sports festival. It was held from May 31st to June 30th. This is the only festival in the nation that had this many different sports being played in 1 month. And we had anywhere from rugby to baseball, disc golf. It was a very successful festival. The National Parks and Recs magazine is going to feature that in one of their issues coming up. I'll go over a little bit of parks, field and pavilion rentals made about $600. Sports complex, including concession stand, field reservations, it made a little over $16,000, I think. Lake, including camping, disc golf, pavilion, kayak rentals, and launch permits and stuff. All total, all of this, we made about $18,000 off parks in the last quarter. Solid waste disposal. Municipal waste that we sent to Ardmore was about 5,574 tons. C&D from people outside the city limits and our commercial customers was 1,167 tons. Residential C&D was 175 tons. We had 237 residents bring in their water bill for free dumping, and that was 61 tons. Our east side of our transfer station went down for 3 or 4 days. We got that up and running. C&D site was closed during all that rain because it looked like a lake out there. They had to pump it all dry and then let it dry out before we could let people in. It's fully staffed. City garage. We replaced some radiators on some dozer and some trucks. Redid undercarriage on dozers, lower traction rollers on the dozer, rebuilt hydraulic cylinders on road grader. Worked on lawnmowers, did 53 oil changes and 56 service calls. Did sewer plant. And I'm missing part of that. No, I didn't. They kept the plant grounds all mowed, worked on the lagoon aerators, get those up and running, keep the smell down in town. Fixed Choctaw screen press pump, replaced UV bulbs as needed. Repaired step screen and repaired leaks on the boiler. and repaired a mixer blade. Evidently, that's not all they did in the last 3 months, but that's the highlights of it. They'll have any questions?
I got a question.
Yes, sir.
Milling and overlaying, didn't we approve some of that?
Yes, sir.
When's that happening?
They will be here next week to do the curbs, and this is from where construction began on University to 49th Street and then 49th to Main. They will do the curbs next week. The concrete will take a week to dry, and then they will come back the following week and start the mill and overlay.
Just really finish the punch list?
They are getting close. They were doing the crack sealing today. I know they have replaced several panels on that was asked to be replaced on the punch list. They've repaired some of the curbs that needed to be done, but I think today they were doing a crack sealing.
We were doing some manhole repair and renovation to stop infiltration. How's that going, or has it started?
We have not bid out
Okay.
that bid yet.
Okay.
That should be bid pretty quick.
Okay. Very good. Any other questions for Philip?
And Philip, we hired a new,
Oh, yes, we do have a new manager at the wastewater treatment plant. He's doing excellent job so far.
Is the track usable?
Yes.
Is usable.
Right. Yes.
Do you know off the top of your head how many leaks we possibly have on those lines that would be affecting the Lehigh Division?
We fixed one last week, and I think we found another one today on Parkland.
Okay, there's also one on McLean.
On McLean. That's where it was. Your dad told me about it.
Yep.
So, yeah, that. And what we'll intend to do to help fix with that, there's a 6-inch water line that runs down McLean, the one that's leaking. It keeps anywhere from 45 to 30 pounds of pressure on it. We will tie onto that, run it down Mason, and tie it to the 6-inch that comes from 70 down to Mason at 18th Street. And we'll shut a valve up at Main and McLean, and then there's a valve on 18th and Main, where that 6-inch line that comes down, that will serve the people on 70 and Bruce Pack. And by looping all this together, the pressure issue, that's not a permanent fix. We all know what the permanent fix is, but it will help. And then, like I said, I do have a booster pump that we can install. I've got quotes for it. Just finding the money to pay for it and getting it installed. That's
How much are those quotes?
the quote is $392,000, and that is a little cheaper than what he thought it was going to be, because at first he told me $350,000 just for the building and the pump. That's engineering, building, pump, electrical, everything was $392,000. It's looking like just the parts to lay this new 6-inch water line. Just the parts alone is $15,000. I'm getting quotes because we're going to use poly and have it bored, because that's quicker, no mess to clean up. We're looking at parts plus that. It should be under $50,000 to do that.
Is your 7 minutes up?
Probably.
I'm just kidding. Any other questions? Thank you. Any other questions for Philip? Okay, before we get to the next one, I want to recognize Ryan Brewer's here on vacation. Thank you for showing up tonight. He gave you a report. Anything you want to add? No? He did it just right. Okay, great. Well, thank you for that, Ryan. Thank you, Philip. Next is the police department with Joe Clark.
Thank you, Mayor, Council, City Manager. There's a lot of positive things happening with the police department. This second quarter, we had 2 officers graduate from the Cleat Academy. That was just a couple weeks ago. So at this point, all their training is complete. They are currently assigned to a shift working the streets and are very excited about being there. We currently have 1 officer that has completed the FTO program. and is awaiting to go to cleat. It's looking like he's going to be going in October. We recently had 2 testing events that identified 10 potential applicants to move forward in the hiring process. Part of those have their backgrounds turned in. We're waiting to get the backgrounds from the others. And we currently have two openings with the department. We're trying to get those filled with these applicants. We recently converted to a new crash reporting system called Okers that allows us to use real-time crash data, and it provides heat maps showing crash locations and severity of the crashes. This is a system that the state has developed, and agencies throughout the state is moving to this program to submit their reports. As far as statistics goes, excuse me, during this second quarter, we've had a slight increase in assaults and property crimes and from last quarter. This is typical trend that we see in the summertime as the weather starts heating up. We see more of these type of crimes than we do when during the cold weather. We have seen a decrease in burglaries and fraud, so that's a big positive. With our 911 centers, staffing levels are up to 11 now. 13 is full staff, so we have 2 that we're looking to fill to get fully staffed in our 911 center. That's very exciting, because last quarter we were down to 6 people in there, and that's critical levels. And efforts with the city leadership has kind of paved the way to get this get our numbers up, and it worked, and very appreciative of the work that was done to help us out in that area. We recently filled the newly added 3rd supervisor position in dispatch, which means that each shift will have a supervisor, and most of the time there's going to be a supervisor on duty. So that's going to be a big plus in there moving forward. We have recently switched from analog to digital with our radios. This enhances the officer's ability to communicate with dispatch, other officers and agencies. When you hear the signal, it's much clearer, and it reaches out a lot further than an analog does. So that's been a pretty big game changer with our department. During this quarter, dispatch handled approximately 14,593 calls for service. This is a slight decrease from the previous quarter. And out of those, about 8,700 of those calls were for the Durant Police Department. Be happy to answer any questions you guys might have.
Any questions for Chief Clark? Good report.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir. Next, from our IT department, we'll have TJ Steele.
Evening, Council, Mayor. Appreciate your time and energy to be here for us and for the citizens in our community. The IT department is kind of a difficult thing to talk about, because a lot of what we do is behind the curtain. It's not something you necessarily see. So I throw some statistics out there to see how large our infrastructure actually is. Believe it or not, we have 16 active locations where active personnel turn in and out of those locations. We have 50 additional operational technology locations scattered throughout the city, over 125 mobile locations that are constantly moving around with different cellular carriers at any one time. At that, we see over 4,000 devices on the operational technology and information technology side, with an additional 350 operational devices that come and go on weekends when it comes to like guest users and stuff at the pool or at City Hall when they use guest Wi-Fi access. With that, we're moving over 4 terabytes of data a day on our entire information technology infrastructure. That's insane how much we deal with every single day. With that, what's the IT department do about it? Well, the goal of the IT department is to provide the technological tools and infrastructure to our employees to perform their job function in the most efficient manner possible while providing a helpful and positive environment to do so. It's imperative that we give people the tools they need to do their job. That's what matters. With that, over the last year, the IT department has spent mostly time on our infrastructure, on our foundation. We can't build above ground if we don't have something good to stand on below ground. And that's not something that we see. As we look around the city, you don't think about downtime when you have 25 employees who can't function for 15 minutes. If that happens once a week, that adds up. It affects our bottom line. It affects the work environment for everybody out there. So our focus in IT has been to focus on that foundation, to create things that work and work well. We've all heard the adage, it's great when it works. We can put out new software, we can put out new software and new technology, new computers, new this, new that. If it doesn't work, there's no point in using it. So the idea is to have a solid foundation with servers, network infrastructure, inter-op communications between our locations, our mobile locations, our police officers functioning in a mobile vehicle when they go mobile, where everything works as we have it today, and then to identify those inefficiencies from that point and grow from it. That's the whole point of IT, is to contribute to our bottom line. During this entire rebuild of everything we've done, we audited what we were doing, how we were doing it, different cellular accounts, printing, what printers we use, how much volume we have where. With that, in the last quarter and finalizing in the last quarter, we've been able to save over $120,000 in expenses to the city alone. And we're just getting started in more what we can do, in hidden expenses, in lost time and lost revenue, in people's efficiency and how they do their job and refining their processes, and increasing technological ways to do their job. In this time, we've done several changes in the last quarter, where here at City Hall, we've improved our network operations center here by adding a full-blown HVAC system, an enterprise-level battery backup system, so when the generator kicks in, there's no interruptions in anything we've got going on with network infrastructure. We've upgraded all of the City Hall original servers to new redundant server infrastructure, so if one server fails, it automatically rolls over to another. We put in an enterprise-grade backup and snapshot system. This allows our staff, if they're working on a file and they make a boo-boo, we're actually backing up everything they do every 2 hours. So they can roll back independently right at their workstation without even having to involve IT. We've also installed an enterprise-level monitoring system that we custom developed so it can integrate with SCADA, so we can see everything that's going on from our operational technology level all the way down to what's going on with thermostats if we so choose. And we can automate that, send alerts, page proper people who are on call, whether it be somebody at wastewater, whether it be somebody at water treatment, or whether it be somebody in the IT department, so that we can respond better to incidents and be more proactive. And that leads to a proactive and reactive environment. The reactive environment that IT deals with on a regular basis is basically what I call incidents or tickets. We deal with about 100 to 125 a month on average. We solve those issues and move forward, but the proactive side is what's really exciting. And now that we've got this foundation laid and we can start building above ground, that's where we're going to start seeing some major improvements in information technology for the city of Durant over the next several months, because now we're actually starting to do things that's visible. We have that foundation in place. Now we can start making improvements. Now we can start making changes that our citizens and our staff will see. The proactive side begins, and I'm super excited about that. So hopefully I kept that in under 5. Any questions?
Good report. Any questions on IT? TJ?
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next is our building inspector, Paul Cottrell.
Good evening. Mine's not going to be near as long and detailed as everybody else's. We run a pretty small ship with building and code. I'm going to start off with the building. We've got a few housing projects going on. That's our main bread and butter. We get more probably housing developments than we do anything commercial. Choctaw Apartment Complex is now found a general contractor, so we're about to kick back off out there. They'll keep us pretty busy. Commercial side, we've got the Wingstop coming in. They're moving along quite nicely. Multitude of eateries filling the vacant buildings on Main Street right now. There is, and I'm just going to point this out to everybody, there is a massive difference between our residential growth in Durant and our commercial growth. We seem to do really good on the residential side. Duplexes seem to be the hot spot right now. That's about it on the building. Code enforcement, kind of like PD at summer season, so grass, trash, it is, there's not enough people in the city to keep you busy. During the summer season, we've got 2 guys doing the best they can, covering the whole 20 square miles. Other news and code, we're digging into the ordinances. There's a few that probably definitely need updated in an emergency setting, get them more modernized, help my guys out, give them a little bit more backing when they're out there in the streets. We're also trying to implement new planning and structure for code enforcement, kind of section off parts of the city that direly need some attention their way, kind of target them while also handling any concerns that are coming in from the citizens still. Other than that, that's about all we've got in that department.
Thank you. Questions for Paul? Questions on code or inspection?
Thank y'all.
All right, thank you, sir. Next, emergency management department. We'll hear from Richard Ezel.
Good evening, council, mayor, Adam. In emergency management for this quarter, I know it's been a hot topic all around south central Oklahoma, but all of our storm outdoor warning sirens are operational and have been this whole quarter. We do maintenance on them though periodically, but every month when we test them, they are all operational, so that's good. On our EMPG grant, our next quarterly report is due the middle of this month. We received our $10,000 grant payment on May 22nd for the second quarter, so our third quarter is coming due, and their third quarter starts in October and goes to September. Other than kind of just a daily, weekly, monthly thing that we do every month, first thing I put was the 2024 total solar eclipse that covered our area and southeastern Oklahoma. I served as the safety officer for the Southeast Region Coordination Center in response to the solar eclipse. I was also the COMT for the event and the staging area manager. So I was deployed at Hugo from April 5th to April 9th for the response. Part of the responses I also did was code plug updates for the radios, for the P25 conversions, for the cache radio kits, and that. We've participated in multiple communications drills throughout the quarter. We hosted one 2 weeks ago here in the southeast, where the city of Durant, we facilitated 3 talk paths for the southeast area communications drill. And we utilized our RDT communications trailer. We parked at Brown Baptist Church out on Highway 78 and was able to get the communications throughout the state from that location. We've assisted DPD, DFD with various calls for accidents, weather-related events, trees down, power lines down. We've met with several businesses to do a walkthrough to help them figure out their safe places in their buildings, for their employees to know what is safe and where they need to go. We've done multiple media relations throughout the area, done multiple interviews with all of our local TV stations multiple times, and Oklahoma City and Tulsa in this last quarter. We received our drone through the grant. We received it 3 weeks ago. I'm working on our new operations policy and training standards and everything for our people that will be going through that to operate the drone. Attended training and onboarding with our drone sense. At the EOC, we've hosted multiple classes, from week-long classes to day-long classes for the Choctaw Nation. and then various departments with the city of Durant. And then I myself, or Greg, has presented trainings throughout the city to mainly this last quarter to the Ron Cross Senior Activity Center. We've done multiple, 2 classes there, which one was heat and the older population, and then using the Durant Radar app, how they can go through and show them how to use their phone to find how their app works. And then we hosted sanitation safety worker training. We did meet with Oklahoma National Guard when they were here with their training exercise out at the airport. Was working on an exercise for them, but then they got called away. But we did put in that work trying to get that exercise put together for them. One of the big things we did was disaster response after the April 27th, 28th tornadoes. I delivered a generator to the city of Ardmore, a trailer-mounted generator, to run a Red Cross shelter. And while I was there, I was asked by the Carter County and City of Ardmore Emergency Management to assist them with preliminary damage assessments throughout Carter County and the City of Ardmore. So I spent 2 days with them over there, and then 1 day in Love County, assisting the Love County Emergency Manager in Marietta with operations over there. And then also in my position as the state Southeast Area Vice President for the Southeast Oklahoma and 22 counties, I coordinated other agencies throughout the Southeast and the state for their disaster response into Love, Carter, and Murray counties. I updated 3 of the City of Durant's LMR licenses with the FCC. After one of the media relations was about storm shelter registrations, I had over 120 registrations in 1 month. So getting all of those registered and put in our database. One of the things I was asked to help do was review contracts between the City of Durant and multiple carriers on their lease spaces on our towers, whether it be phone carriers or internet. That these carriers were in arrears by a lot of money, and to figure out what was going on with that. So we were able to, I know, fix almost $25,000 in arrears off of one company. So I met with the Ron Cross Senior Activity staff and local nursing homes after the tornado in Love County, and the Love County nursing home was impacted. Our local nursing homes wanted to get together and figure out a good evacuation plan in case something like that happened to their facilities. We did purchase a new mapping software that is real time, if you say. So if I add it and I give Humphrey the code for it, he can look at it, and if I make a change, it automatically updates on his, so I don't have to save it every time I make a change and email it to Humphrey. And so in that software, I've done our storm shelter registrations, our storm siren locations, our critical infrastructure locations, landing zones for all of Bryan County. So EM department, we've been busy. Especially during the storm season. We worked 72.25 hours outside of our normal work hours just for severe weather monitoring. Any questions?
Appreciate the work all the departments do, but thank you, Richard. Thank you for that. Okay, last but not least, community development with Reed A. Coles. Come on up.
Good evening, everybody. Can y'all hear me? Is that good? Okay. I'll try to make it short and sweet. Generally, the mission of community development is to facilitate and incentivize thoughtful development that's sustainable, experiential, and adds long-term value to the community of Durant. And it's been fun to work with an awesome team to walk towards that and start getting a lot of really awesome projects for the city. So generally, I'll just start out with some stats, and then I'll get into some of the things we're working on. So last quarter, we had 9 public hearings, which were not very many at all, honestly. We We actually have 8 next month, so just to give you an idea. But generally, in the pre-development, planning, permitting, or platting phase, we have, I would say, probably $20 million of near future investment, whether it's historic redevelopment, remodeling, or new building. So really awesome stat, and I think that's a testament of those that are more external facing with the city. Pam, Kathy, and Philip, y'all have done a great job at representing our city, and people trust investing in Durant. And I've seen a switch since even I've been here, a lot more people wanting to invest. Kathy mentioned some of those projects. So really, really impressive, and I get to see that come through my office every day. So that's awesome. Other than that, there's a lot of, I know Paul mentioned some stats with permits, but we also have a lot of year-end license renewals. That's specifically in the contractor, like subcontractor side of things, and then the alcohol business license side of things. And then just generally, personnel-wise, my staff is awesome. Donna's a permit tech. She's kind of the face of our department. She's new, and she's been a great add. It's funny when people come to the permit office, you'd think they would walk away kind of frustrated, but usually they walk away smiling, which is an awesome thing for our office. And then Aaron's been just added to our department. He's GIS, but he's been added under community development, and he's been with the city for 18 years almost, so a lot of awesome experience. You heard from Paul. He's working on becoming the department head, and he's obviously doing really well with code and enforcement. And then the guys under him, Taylor and Raven. And then just another shout out, Planning Commission. Just lately, they went out of their way to have a special meeting last night to get something approved, and then they're really helping me and adding a lot of input to this code rewrite process that we're going, and I'll talk about a little bit more about that. Chief Langford mentioned that our former fire marshal is no longer with us, and we actually have an external fire marshal, Okie Safe, that does a lot of our commercial certificate of occupancy inspections. So that's something that's been going on. We've been working well with them, just figuring out just procedures with them. And then generally some project management things. We do daily meetings and discuss how we organize and do our jobs better. And then this has been really awesome. IT is working on, again, another shout out, TJ and Raylan, and just his team has been doing a great job. We have a new software coming online in the near future that will help us automate. Several times I've said, unfortunately, my department's stuck in the 1990s, and I think this will help us do a lot of things a lot more efficiently. So, in line with that, we would love to do some website updates soon to make it more user-friendly, and we've worked very briefly on that. Cindy and I have worked with we've had some online code issues, code being not updated online, updated in the book, never updated, but approved. So Cindy has done a great job, and we've just kind of clarified some ones specifically to note the sidewalk ordinance. That is not an ordinance. It was never approved with the mayor's signature formally. The former, the full subdivision edit that part was not added into the approved section. So something to work on in the near future. And then our district regulations, one spot says we allow this townhome model, and then another spot says we don't online. So we're figuring out a lot of the confusion, and hopefully we'll have it all fixed soon. And then I mentioned a code writer. We have an approval of a specific amount of money to get our subdivision codes rewritten, and we've vetted 3 different code writers and hope to have something to y'all soon with that. We're really, really excited about that. I think that'll really help us facilitate and incentivize awesome places in the community. One other thing that I'm really wanting to digging into a little bit, but is impact fees, and having those as a part of our city as another source of revenue. We have 3 proposals for that. The problem is we need to figure out legally what we need to spend or what we can adopt with. It's really just a budget question. What do we need to do to get to those impact fees? So we're trying to figure that out legally. And then another thing that I'll mention is in May I had the awesome opportunity to go to a conference called the Congress of New Urbanism. Awesome conference about planning and development and how to do that the right way that facilitates awesome growth. The reason I put that there is 2 things. Houston, just 2 takeaways. Houston has reduced their homeless population by 70%, and that a lot of that part of that conference was talking how they did that using code. And then another thing was that a lot of these towns have done is that they've used their city resources to facilitate cash flowing development. So how do we do that as a city so we can have cash flowing development? And again, would recommend attendance from any council members, commissioners, city staff. I think would be really valuable for us to get some ideas. So that's it. Thank you.
Appreciate it very much, Reed. Thank you. It's a good report. That is all of the information items under item 3. So thank you very much for those reports. Very enlightening. We move on now to the administration section. Item 4. First item A1 is consider an award of bid for City Hall roof repairs. I believe Mr. Hightower has the details on that.
Yes, we went out for bids to repair the southeast part of the building here at City Hall that was not redid back in 2019 or 18 when the last time they redid this. We received 8 bids. Two of the bidders were disqualified because they didn't have commercial license. We're recommending that we use all season contracting for amount of $62,500.
Questions or comments on this roof replacement or roof repair for the City Hall?
What's the timeline on this, Philip?
I don't have that information. Okay. We have to reward it. I would assume they would probably get started pretty quick.
Yeah, it needs to be sooner than later.
Yeah.
The rain a couple of days ago was actually pouring into some of the offices.
Some of the offices,
We
yes.
couldn't get trash cans under it quick enough.
I think in the bid notes they projected to start on the 22nd of this month.
Yeah.
I just noticed in the contract there wasn't a time frame.
Yeah.
Any other comments or questions on the award of bid? And we'll need to take these separately. Under 4A1, the award of bid, do I hear a motion to accept the recommendation of Mr. Hightower to award it to All Seasons Contracting?
Motion to approve 4A1.
To All Seasons Contracting. Okay.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the award of bid to All Seasons Contracting under item 4A1. The clerk will call the roll.
Councilmember Miller?
Yes.
Councilmember Shear?
Yes.
Councilmember Fuller?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Simulescu?
Yes.
Mayor Tucker?
Yes. Next, under item 4A2 is a proposal which reads like a contract, but I don't know that it is a contract. Has the attorney had an opportunity to review this documentation?
I have, Mr. Mayor. It does say proposal, but it has the terms of a contract, and I think if approved, will serve as, yes,
to the city so it's approved in its current form from your perspective.
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
Any other questions or comments on the contract or proposal from All Season Contracting? Do I hear a motion?
Motion to approve 4A2 contract for All Seasons contract.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve item 4A2 to award or to approve a contract for roof repair to All Seasons Contracting. The clerk will call the roll.
Councilmember Miller,
Yes.
Councilmember Shear,
Yes.
Councilmember Fuller,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Simulescu.
Yes.
Mayor Tucker.
Yes. Thank you for that. Next is item B, consider approval of a registration fee in the amount of $80 for Mommy and Me Camp through the Parks and Recreation Department. And so Mr. Brewer came in from his vacation to make this presentation.
Well, apparently Phil's been trying to contact me all week about what this is about, and I gave
Sounds
up.
like $80.
I gave up my work phone, so what this is Texoma Football Club came down, and they're going to start multiple programs starting as early as this spring. The Mommy Me will starting as early as this fall, doing a free camp once a month that they provide the training. We just need to provide a field. I already talked to Suck Club; they're going for it. With this Mommy and Me, this will be done during the day, so it'll be very little overlap with anything else we have. It's the Texoma Soccer Club. They come in and bring in professional staff to host Mommy and Me classes to give not only the kids something to do at that age level, because there's not a whole lot, but it gives the moms that are stay-at-home moms something to do at the same time. It'll be a 5-week course. We're looking at starting as early as the spring. I didn't want to rush it and try to do this fall and not get the word out and it just fall through. So we're going to full on plan it. We just have to get the fee already established.
Mommy and Me Camp for what? This was the discussion today.
It's a soccer camp. It's a soccer camp. So the professionals teach the kids how to start moving the ball around, start doing little drills, but the moms participate as well to give everyone a little exercise.
So do I need to check with Ann on this availability of the $80, or are we okay?
I think we're okay.
We're okay. All right, just making sure. Any questions for Ryan? And we really do appreciate you coming in tonight. Thank you.
Hey, no problem.
I make a motion that we approve the registration fee in the amount of $80 for the camp. We have a motion and a second for item 4B. The clerk will call the roll.
Councilmember Miller,
Yes.
Councilmember Shear,
Yes.
Councilmember Fuller,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Simulescu.
Yes.
Mayor Tucker.
Yes. Thank you very much, Ryan. Okay. Now we have five replat or rezone requests. And the first one, item C under administration, is consideration of approval for a rezone request at 3820 West University Boulevard.
So this one y'all have seen. It was tabled, I believe, in May. The applicant desires to rezone from C1 to R3. The zones, surrounding zoning is all R3, and the desire is so that they can sell their property as a residential property. Generally, the property is about an acre. And I don't know if there's any other detail that's super necessary, but last week, Planning Commission unanimously approved, recommended approval for this rezone.
Pretty straightforward. Any comments or question on this rezone request? Hearing none, I make a motion that we approve item 4C to rezone 3820 West University Boulevard.
Second.
I have a motion and a second for item 4C. The clerk will call the roll.
Councilmember Miller,
Yes.
Councilmember Shear,
Yes.
Councilmember Fuller,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Simulescu.
Yes.
Mayor Tucker.
Yes. Okay, next is item 4D, consideration of approval for a replat request at the southeast corner of Willow Street and North 4th Avenue.
Yeah, so this one is from Rack Investments, and the desire is to take the 4 lots at that corner and consolidate them so that they have the, I think it's actually 2 lots, but to consolidate those 4 lots into one and have enough space for a multifamily development. And this multifamily, and I think there's a concept on that y'all have in your notes, but generally would be 6 units side by side, looking like similar to duplexes or townhomes. The zoning all around it is R3. The size of the tract is about a half an acre. Some general R3 standards are that minimum lot size is 8,000 square feet plus 1,200 for every unit after 2. So this tract would need at least 13,000 square feet, but has over that amount to have a 6-plex. Minimum lot frontage is 80 feet, and then the parking requirements for this type of development is 2.5 spaces per unit. And then something that staff would recommend, and it isn't in our code, but we'd recommend that any non-driveway parking spaces be out of the street view. And then generally, regarding a comprehensive plan, this is very much in line with comprehensive plan. It's walking distance from the college and walking distance to historic downtown, so really awesome living opportunities. And then one other thing to note is that we do have a landscaping requirement of 5% for any new construction in the city of Durant. Last week, all 5 planning commissioners voted to recommended to approve this proposal.
And Reed, is the applicant in agreement with all those recommendations as well, or do we know?
Is the applicant?
Yes.
To my knowledge, he's aware of code.
Okay.
Reed, are we going to make the 2.5 parking spaces?
Yeah, that would have to, that's a mandate under our code, so we would have to make sure that there are 2.5 spaces provided per unit.
Right.
Yes.
Will they be required to meet the sidewalk and lighting requirements?
Yes. So the lighting, I think, to my knowledge, is new development. But again, the problem with the sidewalk ordinance, it was never adopted. It was voted on. It's not in our code. So
we need to talk about that because it was clearly on the August 2021 agenda. On the September 2021 minutes, it shows that it was adopted. I don't know what the issue is, but we need to talk about that.
Yes, we do, for sure. And we would absolutely enforce that should we. There's confusion on a lot of past codes in our minutes.
Okay, any other questions or comments on this property at Willow Street and North 4th? Do I hear a motion?
Motion to approve 4D.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the replat request, item 4D. The clerk will call the roll.
Councilmember Miller?
Yes.
Councilmember Shear?
Yes.
Councilmember Fuller?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Simulescu?
Yes.
Mayor Tucker?
Yes. Next is item 4E, consideration of approval of a rezone request at 407 East Georgia Street.
So this request at 407 East Georgia is to change from A1 agricultural zoning to R1 zoning. It was originally R3, but the Planning Commission recommended that it be R1. Mr. Markham and Whitney Kerr gave some legal advice on how they're able to do that. Just for some context, to the north is all R3, to the west and the south is mostly agriculture with some R1. The original recommendation was because the staff wanted to avoid the idea of spot zoning, but then again, there's an R1 right across to the west, so the recommendation was changed to R1 to keep that kind of R1 density, single family in the area. There were citizens that showed up to the meeting and gave feedback that that was their desire as well, to see that area be more R1 single family. Another thing to note is that the Planning Commission made emphasize very much that the applicant would have to go through a replat if they decide to keep their current home and build another home. Would have to split the 6-acre lot into to have 2 lots. So Generally some lot characteristics y'all can see, but the 6 acres is much, has a good enough size for all of those. And then all 5 members of Planning Commission recommended that R1 zoning be approved.
Okay, questions or comments on this property? Georgia Street. No questions, do I hear a motion?
I make a motion to approve 4E with the R1.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the R1 rezone, which is item 4E. The clerk will call the roll.
Councilmember Miller?
Yes.
Councilmember Shear?
Yes.
Councilmember Fuller?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Simulescu?
Yes.
Mayor Tucker?
Yes. All right. The next one, item 4F, is a double. We get to consider approval of a rezone and a replat request at the same time at 3610 North First Avenue.
So this one was the special meeting yesterday. Again, kudos to Planning Commission for making it happen. This is the applicant's L&E Properties. They own the United Ag John Deere over on First. Their goal is to put a very large investment into that property and do a remodel to make it look almost brand new, similar to some of the projects they've done in Gainesville, Van Alstyne, areas nearby. Problem was that they had a setback issue with the building being right on the property line, and then they had a zoning issue where the property was in 2 different zones, and if they're desiring to purchase a property that's in another type of zone. So generally their request is to replat everything into 1 lot and then have it all be under 1 zone, the C2 zoning, which allows for this type of agricultural retail. In general, the lot is about 6 acres, and at the Planning Commission meeting the last night, there was a lot of conversation first about how a lot of sales revenue statistics brought from the applicant, and how they've seen a lot of growth when they put this remodel into their facilities. And then one thing to mention is that this replat would fix some current plat issues on the old historic plat, and then alleviate a parking / turn-in issue on First. And then again, the setbacks are the most important thing, but with that new addition on the side, they would meet the side setbacks of 10 feet. The parking requirement is 1 per 150 square foot GSA plus 1 vehicle offered for sale or rent plus 1 employee on max shift. Landscaping requirement 5%. And then we had a recommendation from a quorum of 3 last night that it be approved for both the replat and rezone.
Get back to the parking. What does GSA stand for? I'm sorry, that acronym got by me.
Gross sales area, gross sellable something.
Okay. That's a new one. Okay. And you said we had not a unanimous?
Well, so we had a quorum of 3 last night.
Oh, that's all we had.
And it was unanimous.
Gotcha.
Yes.
Perfect. Okay, gotcha.
Yes. And then the one other thing to point out is, if you can see on the map, there's a shed adjacent to the property, and it's not on their property. Just there was a question about that. It doesn't affect the
it's
compliance.
not their shed.
Yeah, it doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't. Has no issue with their compliance, but
Gotcha.
with the others, yeah.
Okay. And when we get a stoplight just up the street from there, and when Philip moves all the water lines, it's going to be a busy part of town for a while, won't it? It's progress, right?
That's
Any
right.
questions or comments on this property, the John Deere Place on First Avenue? No questions. Do I hear a motion then?
Motion to approve 4F.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the rezone and replat, which is item 4F. The clerk will call the roll.
Councilmember Miller?
Yes.
Councilmember Shear?
Yes.
Councilmember Fuller?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Simulescu?
Yes.
Mayor Tucker?
Yes. Next is item 4G, consideration of approval for a replat request, which is behind 4202 Wilson Street. And I think this property has been before the commission before as well.
Yes, the adjacent property.
Right next to it.
Yes, absolutely. So, again, this property's Wilson and near the intersection of Wilson and Larkspur. The reason this replat, this applicant came for a replat, is the issue on the parcel just east, adjacent to Larkspur. There's a potential buyer that wants to purchase that and build a home, but it leaves that parcel behind it orphaned by nature. And so this was an attempt of Basha Properties to fix that orphan issue and add access from Wilson to the back of the property. Current zoning is A1. There's no desired future use by the owner, but the future land use shows low density residential. The property is about 22 acres. It's important to note that about 50% of that is in floodplain, and both access points would be floodplains and creeks, so really hard to enter through. And then just generally, at the last Planning Commission meeting, there was significant debate. It ended up being a 3-2 vote. So debate about intent and what we're trying to do as a city when we enable certain plat requests. So generally, are we approving or voting to approve people that are plats that are in line with code, or are we, and to the some would say the bare minimum, or are we trying to look out for future development, right? So, and to give an example, this has one point of access. If someone wanted to do anything else other than small residential, you'd need 2 points of access, right? So Mr. Markham was there and gave some really great input. And so generally, Planning Commission recommendation was a 3-2 vote in favor of a recommendation of approval.
Anything you want to add, Mr. Markham, to that? Thank you, Reed.
Mr. Mayor, not a lot. I think at the Planning Commission, the consideration was, and I think this council probably remembers that parcel on the east end adjoining Larkspur when it was transferred to a new owner or purported it was done so in violation of the city ordinances.
It created this challenge.
It created this challenge, and the concern at the Planning Commission meeting was whether adding this little sort of north-south 80-foot strip to connect to Wilson alleviated the concern of the orphaned parcel. And there was one train of thought that said it does, because it meets the minimum standards. It meets the street frontage. It gives them 80 foot of street frontage along Wilson. And that's true. And so that parcel is then meets the minimum standards. Does the parcel meet the goals of platting, which is the efficient use of property within the city limits? Probably not, because there's that 80-foot strip, while it is 80 feet wide and abuts Wilson Street, doesn't provide for access to the larger parcel. It's not a passable area, and if that area was to be developed, as Reed said, it would need additional points of access, which are just probably not feasible, except from Larkspur. So that was the kind of the two schools of thought is does this meet the minimum standards? Yes, from an overhead view. Yes, from a ground level view. It doesn't provide for the very efficient use of that parcel, which is what platting is generally designed to do. So those were the two schools of thought.
Besides the point of access, now there's a creek that runs through there. How much of this property, this 22 acres or so, is in a floodplain?
I would say at least half, and both. It's like a circle of floodplain. So
okay.
on the east side, you have a floodplain and a major creek right behind that individual lot, and then a lot where all those trees are, that's also floodplain. So it's a very unique.
So again, this property is already orphaned, basically, and this would somehow correct it, I gather.
Yeah, like legally within code.
Right, but it looks like it's ag zoned, and it might be the only thing that it's good for, unless something else is done around it somehow to improve it. That's just my perspective. Is that basically where we're at?
And I think that's probably the intent of the applicant as well.
Okay. Comments or questions then for Reed or city attorney? Not ideal, I agree.
I'm with you. I'm going, if it can't be developed, then what does it matter? If it's floodplain.
Okay, but let's describe floodplain versus floodway, because there are ways to build in a floodplain,
Yes.
just not a floodway.
Yeah. Most people avoid both floodways and floodplain with housing. You can build a road through it, and then sometimes there's ways to go through a remediation or alleviation process.
Move a lot of dirt.
Yeah, move a lot of dirt. And then sometimes if you go through the FEMA board, which again is lengthy, you can do that as well. I think the issue with the access here is that both access points are through creeks, so you would need significant infrastructure over those major culverts, maybe even some bridges to access this property.
Any more comments or questions? Do I hear a motion on this item?
Motion to approve 4G.
I'll second that motion. We have a motion and a second to approve item 4G, the replat for 4202 Wilson, or the property behind it. The clerk will call the roll.
Councilmember Miller?
No.
Councilmember Shear?
No.
Councilmember Fuller?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Simulescu?
Yes.
Mayor Tucker?
Yes. That's all we have tonight under administration. Next is item 5, new business. Is there any new business to come before the city council tonight? Hearing none. Oh, finally, I want to say Reed also came in from vacation tonight to do this work. Thank you, sir, for that. Appreciate that very much. The hard-working staff for the city of Durant. So with that, I'll make a motion that we adjourn tonight's city council meeting.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adjourn the Durant City Council meeting. The clerk will call the roll.
Councilmember Miller?
Yes.
Councilmember Shear?
Yes.
Councilmember Fuller?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Simulescu?
Yes.
Mayor Tucker?
Yes, we stand adjourned. And thank you.